first topic tonight is gathering birth data and collecting charts. And why is this important? It's important because the fastest way to learn astrology is to look at charts and to think about them. It's really hard to memorize everything about astrology, especially as Kriyananda goes along in the course and he's talking about Aries are like this and Taurus are like this and Gemini are like this and the planets are like this. And he's giving all the data. And there's more data in his books for every single thing. And it's just like a cookbook where you're trying to read every recipe and memorize every recipe in a cookbook. That's not how you learn to cook. You actually make a recipe. So your own natal horoscope is the first place to start, where you're learning about each piece of your own horoscope. And in that way, you actually memorize the information. That way you actually relate it to yourself and you remember it. You always remember the things that are part of your own natal horoscope the best. But then you start adding in your family and friends, and you start collecting birth data. If you don't have a lot of family and friends, you might want to add in some celebrities and newsmakers. Those are people who you find interesting, and you collect all these charts. You can collect them in an online file. You can collect them. It's probably better to collect them on paper, in a notebook of some sort or another. It's a way of relating every single thing that you learn to somebody that you can actually picture and imagine how they talk, how they look, and how they act, and what's happening to them, and what their life's been like. And this gives you the ability to absorb the information from the horoscope and from each lesson that you're learning. One of the things that's most important is your own natal horoscope. So hopefully you have a copy of that. If not, there are free places online that you can go and have your horoscope printed out into a wheel. But it's really important, in this last point, I say use your blank charts to redraw. It's really important, I think, and Kriyananda says this in some of his recordings, to take that actual pen and paper and take the chart paper that you're given in the lesson 1 and draw your own chart. Draw it out. Copy it as it is in the printout that you may have gotten from your computer or from the online, and write it out. Draw it out. This helps the information to be assimilated into your memory even better. So I wanted to make a point about the place you can go to find data and birth times and charts of famous people, and it's called Astro Databank. So I didn't give the link because you only have to put into Google Astro Databank and it'll take you right to it. Astro Databank was started by a wonderful astrologer called Lois Rodden, and she started collecting charts. It was her mission to get good birth data for a chart. What is good birth data? Good birth data is accurate birth data. That means hopefully from your birth certificate. And I say hopefully because sometimes that's not as accurate as it could be. The most accurate birth data I have is of my children, and that's because as an astrologer, I not only went to the hospital to have my kids with all the supplies that you take with you to go to the hospital, but I also took my ephemeris and my chart paper, and I had my husband set his watch the atomic clock in Denver, Colorado, so that we would have the most accurate birth time for our kids, so I could draw up their charts. But that's what you're looking for. You're looking for accurate birth time. So Lois Rodden created birth data rating, ways to rate your birth data. And when you draw up a chart, you should use something along those lines to say, to put down on your chart where you got this birth data from. So especially when you get it from a client. For example, the Rodden rating of AA, two-letter A's, means accurate. And it means that you've got this birth data from a birth certificate. Then the next level down is level A, and that means you got it from a friend or family member, which can often be accurate, but not necessarily quite as accurate as a birth certificate, a legal birth certificate time. And then they have a letter B that's from a biography. That's a little bit farther down the level. Then they have a rating called C for caution, because the source isn't known. Somehow that birth data is around, the birth time is around, but it's not necessarily known. And then they have one called DD, dirty data, usually because there's conflicting data without any source to it, without a reference source. And then there's one X, date, a birth date without a birth time. And you can do charts from that too. You just can't have the houses of the horoscope. And we'll talk about flat charts probably in the months to come. When you are collecting birth dates and birth times from your friends and family, make sure that you ask them, where did you get this from? Is it from the birth certificate? Is it your mother's memory? And we'll talk more about accurate birth times too in the months to come, but having an accurate time for a chart is really important to astrologers.